Friday's international newspapers with our press reviewer, Nicholas Rushworth. He joins me now.
Hi, Laura.
Nicholas. Right, so you're going to start off with, of course, that US election race, which seems to be getting tighter and tighter. What are the press saying about that vice presidential debate?
Well, I'm not going to go to the vice presidential debate as such. I'm going to go to the broader issue about, everything to play for at the moment. And I saw a cartoon in USA Today which shows two blokes in a bar. One of them is reading a paper which shows that the poll numbers are jerking wildly to and fro. He turns to the other bloke in the bar who's perhaps just drinking a bit of whiskey, and he says to him, well, they're jerking to and fro. What's your job? And he says, well, he replies, I'm a presidential pollster. So how did you get that whiplash? So, of course, they're a joke about jerking to and fro there.
OK, well, you've also seen a comment piece on Romney in the International Herald Tribune, and flip-flopping is all right, it seems.
Well, that's been one of the key issues in the debate, hasn't it, about Romney and switching his position on various issues. Now, Roger Cohen, who writes for the New York Times and the International Herald Tribune, he is saying that flip-flopping is not an issue at the moment. What matters is delivery on performance. And he looks at various examples of Romneysia, going from, the Middle East or abortion over many years. And he's saying, now that's irrelevant. What matters is for Obama to catch up on this one. And what are we living in? We're living in a 24/7 world. Nobody can be consistent. Everything is, I use his word, situational. So they're a warning to Obama.
OK, well, we're going to move to a completely different story now. That Chinese Nobel Prize for Literature winner Mo Yan, and the reaction to that over in China.
Well, the Chinese press love it. The People's Daily, even the China Daily, is leading on that. This is the story on the front page of the China Daily across the world, Mo Pen's Nobel success story. So euphoria, they're thrilled. On the front page of that piece, it says, well, the rumours in the Chinese media about Mo possibly winning began around a month ago. Now, that mood is not, of course, reflected in the British press. The Independent is covering that story, saying that, in fact, the dissident artist Ai Weiwei has called the prize for Mo an insult to humanity and to literature. He argues that Mo's work does not live up to the quality of previous writers. The Bangkok Post is also reporting on this story. It's pointing to another winner, the Peace Prize laureate, Liu Xiaobo, who was given that prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, in 2010. And it's asking, where is he? Apparently still in prison, but no one knows his exact whereabouts. His wife, a dissident too, is being held and under house arrest. So the message in parts of the media today is, yes, a Chinese win now in literature, but let's not forget Liu Xiaobo, who is still in prison. The only Nobel laureate in jail.
And there's some news just come in from Beijing. China's communist propaganda czar has now congratulated Mo Yan on his Nobel Prize. But moving on now to those ties between Turkey and Russia, which have been dealt a blow with that interception of a Syrian plane and the allegations that there were military equipment on board.
Well, there's an editorial in the Hurriyet Daily, in the Turkish paper, and it looks at all the details of that and asks, will this row lead to a Turco-Russian crisis? Now, the conclusion is that, well, no, it will not, even though there's tension now about this flight, because Ankara and Moscow have long agreed to disagree about Syria. So they're actually clear about their lines, and it should not affect their other diplomatic affairs or their other ties. The Jerusalem Post, meanwhile, has an editorial more broadly with advice for Erdogan. There you can see the headline, Erdogan's problems with the neighbours. And it says that Tayyip Recep Erdogan is in a hard place. He's stuck now. What's happened is early on in this crisis, he had the opposition rebels, he had momentum. Now Assad has got the hold of the situation, and he has no angle about how to deal with Assad.
OK, thank you very much indeed, Nicholas Rushworth, for that look at today's newspapers. Well, let's get a reminder now of this Friday's top story here on France.